Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Black women on social media are upset about comments that actress Phylicia Rashad made regarding the way modern black women dress. Now, in a recent interview on The Breakfast Club, elder Phylicia Rashad spoke about the way many modern black women wear revealing clothes these days. And she talked about how no black man wants his woman to be out there like that, and the statements and commentary she made regarding the image of black women made a firestorm of controversy among many modern black women who don't understand their history or how they have been presented in society, and how they're basically going out here proving a point to many racists who created these caricatures back in the days of slavery. Now, Phylicia Rashad's statement on The Breakfast Club really reminded me of her contemporary Bill Cosby when he made his pound cake speech back in the 20-teens. And like Bill Cosby, she is expressing disappointment regarding the way black women are behaving and in the way they're presenting themselves out here in society. Now, the disappointment that Phylicia Rashad, I believe, has is based on all of the efforts that she and Bill Cosby went out here and made to try to improve the image of black men and black women when they went out here and were performing in The Cosby Show back in the 1980s. And Phylicia Rashad, when she was on The Cosby Show, presented a picture of grace and elegance and class and sophistication as related to the image of black women every week on The Cosby Show, and she carried herself with lots of grace and presence when she was acting on that show as Claire Huxtable, Cliff Huxtable's wife, and presented herself as a gracious wife and mother and a sophisticated lady that would be a respectable image that reflected the respectable image of Cliff Huxtable. That's what Phylicia Rashad performed as on The Cosby Show, and wanted that to be the example to black girls and black women, an example to black girls and black women to carry and conduct themselves as ladies, carry and conduct themselves in a respectable fashion that would be seen in a positive way. And she had possibly hoped, like Bill Cosby, that black people would take the image and models from The Cosby Show and carrying them on into their lives. Unfortunately, after The Cosby Show left the air in 1992, and almost 40 years later, sadly, what has happened is the entire black society has gone into a major state of dysfunction, where instead of black women being the next generation of respectable young ladies and black men being the image of respectable young gentlemen, what we have, sadly, is a generation of black people who have every opportunity provided in front of them, and they're basically living the way that the white supremacist wants them to live, and presenting an image of black people that basically is the image that the white supremacist wants to see regarding the image of black people. And basically, Phylicia Rashad, I believe, is scratching her head about what happened to these last generations who were, again, given an example of positive image of black people in The Cosby Show. What happened to those people to the point where they are no longer acting like people, but are acting just like the caricatures that the slave master created during the days of the antebellum South, where we have our young black men acting like brutes and minstrels, and we have, sadly, our young sisters out here presenting an image of themselves where they're wearing next to no clothes and presenting themselves as the image of the emasculating sapphire with the bad attitude, and even worse, the sexually promiscuous image of the black Jezebel. And as they're presenting themselves as this image, they're not presenting themselves in a respectable and dignified fashion. And the reason why they're not presenting themselves in that respectable and dignified fashion is because, sadly, even though the Cosby Show was on the air, sadly, the black family was on a state of decline. And as the black family was on this state of decline, they basically became spellbound and wanted to fit themselves into black boxes that were acceptable to white people. And they wanted to be socially accepted by white people. And as they looked to be socially accepted by white people, they looked to adopt these stereotypes instead of looking to be like their grandmothers and great-grandmothers who went against the grain. Now, many of our great-grandmothers and grandmothers went against the grain because they were taught actual black culture, and as they were taught actual black culture, they were taught to be dignified, respectable ladies because that's what their mothers and grandmothers taught them, because they understood white supremacy. They understood that white supremacy wanted to degrade the black image and degrade the image of the black woman, and they wanted to degrade the image of the black woman because they wanted us to fit into the caricatures and stereotypes such as the Jezebel, such as the Sapphire, to dehumanize the black woman, dehumanize the black woman to make her appear less than the white woman and take away her humanity. And that's why many of our sisters would go out here and put on their best clothes, look respectable and dignified, and stand up against these narratives because they understood that those narratives were, again, speaking bad about them. And as it spoke bad about them, they wanted to take control of the narrative and speak for themselves. They wanted to speak for themselves through the way they dressed, to send a statement to society to say, a black woman is a human being. A black woman is respectable. A black woman is going to present a positive image that reflects on black men and wants to again present herself as sophisticated and dignified because she knows that she is better than what these racists are saying about her. Moreover, she wanted to do this to say that she loved herself and loved being black and loved expressing black beauty. That's what black women were doing back in those days when they kept themselves covered, because what the racist wanted to do was present the image of the black woman being out here half naked, because that's what they saw as related to black women being so-called African and savage, and wanted to present that image of black women being African and savage and have her body exposed because they wanted to say that the black woman basically this is her natural state, and she's naturally again out here naked, and because she's naked, she's an image of sexual promiscuity. That's what the white supremacists wanted to present, and that's why sisters would cover themselves up and look as classy and dignified as possible. And that's what Phylicia Rashad is deeply disappointed about. She's deeply disappointed because, again, you have these young women who, ever since the Cosby Show left in 1992, have been bombarded by white supremacy, with negative images of black women that have been presented as real. That's what has been happening as our music, like rap music, was compromised by group bootlicks like the NWA and people like the 2 Live crew. They basically, again, wanted to hypersexualize the image of the black woman and put her back on the road to being the black Jezebel that white supremacy created. That's what they did as related to the 2 Live crew with their song Me So Horny and the music video revolving around it. And Uncle Luke, or Luther Campbell, further made this worse by taking events that we had, like the events down that they called the Freaknik, and turning it into an orgy of sexual debauchery and deviancy, where scantily clad women would again be out here hypersexualizing things. And again, this was done by black bootlicks who were looking to gain favor with white supremacy, and this was done to again just further tarnish the black woman's image, because they did not want black women to be Claire Huxtables. They did not want us to see respectable daughters, And even worse, you had a lot of even people in the Cosby Show, like Lisa Bonet, who didn't know what Bill Cosby and Phylicia Rashad were doing on this show. She basically was one of the first ones to be lost because she wanted that white acceptance and starred in the movie Angel Heart, thinking, oh, this is going to elevate my career, not understanding what they wanted to do was hypersexualize her and use her to again create the image of black women that white supremacy found to be comfortable. And that's where I have a thing that I see where the disconnect basically happened between generations. I mean, Lisa Bonet is an example of what happened with that disconnect between generations, in that she didn't understand what Bill Cosby and Phylicia Rashad were trying to do as related to the image of black men and black women, where she was trying to present the image of black women and black men being respectable and dignified in order to show that we were human. And again, Lisa Bonet basically was the first example of a woman who shouldn't have been out there like that. I mean, not the boho stuff, but the whole thing with her out here in the movie Angel Heart. She didn't understand the stereotypes that she was breathing brand new life in, and that was basically like a crack into the whole black culture, and that was further exacerbated by the bootlicks in the NWA and the 2 Live Crew. And 2 Live Crew then, their image again of the Black Jezebel as related to their song Me So Horny and the Freakniks, this further again was degrading the image of young black girls who were buying into the whole concept of hood and being so-called real, not understanding that the whole concept of hood and so-called real was being established by white media executives who wanted to push anti-black imagery as something normal, something that Bill Cosby and Phylicia Rashad were fighting against. And Bill Cosby had been fighting against this all the way back in the days of the 1960s and 1970s. And sadly, as he was trying to fight against these images, what happened is the white media found themselves some bootlicks and some shills to go out here and push these anti-black narratives as so-called being real. And as they pushed this anti-black narrative as being real, this is how we went from female rappers having their clothes on in class with women like Queen Latifah, Moni Love, MC Lyte, Roxanne Shante, again, classy ladies standing up presenting an image of black womanhood that you could look up to and respect, because these women were all about their lyrics, they were all about their wordplay and their flow, and they were fine looking sisters, but you respected those sisters because they presented themselves as respectable. And we went from those type of women, the last one I saw was Isis from X-Clan, to us going into the era of the gangster rapper image, and the gangster rapper female image started with the B's with attitude and the H's with problems, and then led to us getting Little Kim and Foxy Brown. And the images of Little Kim and Foxy Brown were designed to sell sex to the black woman and sell her on the idea that her sexuality was the way she would sell herself, by wearing skimpy clothes and G-string drawers and all sorts of stuff, again, hypersexualizing the image of the black woman. Because if you look at the image of Little Kim's hardcore album, again, this was about presenting the image of black women as hypersexualized and presenting us the image of the hypersexualized black woman that many of us brothers did not want there out there like that. Like Phylicia Rashad said, many of us brothers did not like that stuff. Unfortunately, what happened is the entire generation of many millennials grew up with that as a social norm, and it became conditioned to them to see black women not as, again, respectable ladies, but to be seen in this, again, degrading way. And as brothers tried to speak out, they got shouted down by emotional, loud black women who wanted not the acceptance of black men, but wanted the acceptance of white society, because what they saw with those images is that they were on, again, being mainstreamed. And again, these images were on the fringe of black society. There was a good chunk of black people pushing back against those gangster rapper images. However, everything basically changed as related to the image of black women when in 2000, Halle Berry decided to star in the film Monsters Ball. And as Halle Berry starred in the film Monsters Ball, this is what mainstreamed the idea of the black women were wearing revealing clothes and going out here and being hypersexualized. Now, many brothers like myself have spoken out against that whole situation with Halle Berry. And again, but sadly, many black women seeing Halle Berry get this validation by receiving the Academy Award, this basically opened the door for everything as related to mainstreaming the black woman being out here wearing revealing clothes and being scantily clad. This basically mainstreamed this idea because once they saw Halle Berry go out here and win that Oscar, she basically cemented this whole culture of ratchetness to be the cultural norm. And ever since Halle Berry won that Oscar, the entire black culture has basically gone on a state of decline because the black woman's moral position wound up getting compromised. And as that moral position wound up getting compromised, many of our young sisters out here basically believe, okay, I can dress in these skimpy clothes that basically show everything to the imagination and give you, again, nothing to imagine herself as, or even look in her eyes and see her face or her character. No, you can't get to see any of that because the young sister, again, has been miseducated. And I talk about this in depth in two of my books, Spellbound and The Woman Crisis. Now, in Spellbound, I talk about how the Matilda character runs into an older woman similar to Phylicia Rashad, Mrs. Purvis, who tells her about the spellbound mindset and how many of the spellbound black people, again, want to fit themselves into these black boxes that are acceptable to white people, and how we had our own standard, but because we wanted to be a part of white society, we couldn't see how we were abandoning our culture and everything about it that showed us as respectable. We abandoned everything. And again, the Matilda character, after listening to Mrs. Purvis, realizes that she, if she wants to, again, continue to maintain her humanity, she decides to be her own version of black. Now, she's a part of the goth scene, but she presents herself as a dignified, respectable lady, like the sisters used to be before the days of feminism. Before the days of feminism started black women on this road to looking for social white acceptance and basically leading them on a road to corruption. That's where Matilda comes from. And in The Woman Crisis, I go in depth on how our women are out there and again fond up on this road. And again, like I've seen from many people who are elders, they know she's absolutely, Phylicia Rashad was absolutely right. No man, again, a man of character, wants his woman out there like that. And we don't want our women out there like that, wearing scantily clad outfits and again, showing everything off. We don't want our women out there like that because our women are a reflection of ourselves. And if your woman is out there half naked and again sexualizing herself, it says that that man again does not respect himself to demand standards from his woman. He doesn't respect himself to be the leader of his community. I mean, the entire picture of a scantily clad black woman out there like that, it's a picture of weakness, and it doesn't really show how that man respects himself or is in charge, because if your woman is out there like that, it's a bad look on you. It's a bad look on you as a community and a collective, and it shows that your community, you're not really running your community, because if your woman is out there like this, it basically shows she's being controlled by somebody else, and that's what happens with the image of black women. We're seeing that the black woman, again, is following the lead of white supremacy and presenting herself as a reflection of white supremacy. That's what's happening here with this whole situation of all these scantily clad women who followed the lead of Halle Berry, Little Kim, and Foxy Brown down the road to presenting themselves as modern-day black Jezebels and modern-day black Sapphires, not presenting a balanced picture of black women. And that's what Phylicia Rashad was speaking on. That's got a lot of black women upset and incensed because they're hearing truth from an elder who made every effort to present a positive image of black womanhood. But sadly, what has happened is over the last 30 years, the message has not been heard by our sisters or even people like myself who could see what Bill Cosby and Phylicia Rashad were trying to do. I mean, I could see as far when I was 17 years old in 1991, I saw what Bill Cosby was trying to do for the image of black men and black women in this country, and that's one of the reasons why I dedicated myself towards creating positive stories about the black experience and showing you a richer picture of black life. That was what I tried to do with my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like Spellbound, to show you actual black culture, because the miseducation that many young brothers and sisters have been getting is that they believe that this gangster rap and hood culture is actual black culture, when that's not the case at all. No, that's not the case at all, because, again, black culture basically came from foundational black Americans in the days after slavery. In the days after slavery, we created our own culture. We created our own culture to debunk many of the anti-black racist images and media that were being presented. I go in depth on this in another one of my books, ISIS Imitation of Life, where ISIS, who goes out here and is in a black town and basically is seeing all of these different images. In the first chapter, they go to a drugstore and they see these stories and salacious narratives, but I show you the human narratives, because in the golden age of comics and pulp fiction, I wanted to make a commentary that black people were a different type of hero, and our way of being a hero was presenting ourselves as human beings. And that's something that many black kids just don't know, because a lot of our brothers, and especially our sisters, are disconnected from their history. They're disconnected from their history and buying into the anti-black narratives that the white supremacists puts in their media. In their media, they've basically programmed 2 to 3 generations with this misinformation, and that's why our sisters don't have a moral position, and the entire race is going in a bad direction, where they're wearing these revealing clothes. They're wearing these revealing clothes, and I'll disagree with Rashad on this. They're not wearing the revealing clothes because the designers make them. They're wearing them because white supremacy programmed this idea that this was the standard image for a black woman, to look like a prostitute and a stripper. That's what the white media has programmed in young sisters' minds, and programmed it through their media that they produce, because it wasn't coming from media made by people like Bill Cosby or Sedan DePass or many of the other black producers. If you look at those shows made by black producers like Suzanne DePass, who made Sister Sister, if you look at the shows like Bill Cosby made, you will see from a black person's perspective a balanced and humanized picture. The same way if you go over here to the SJS Direct imprint, when you go out here and check out a book like the ISIS series, or a book like Spellbound, or a book like Eternal Night, or Recipe for Success, you will see a picture of balanced, humanized images of black women. You will see a story that presents us as human beings. Unfortunately, we're not buying into those stories, because sadly many of our sisters want white acceptance above black pride, and they want white acceptance above black pride to the point where they want to fit themselves into black boxes, where they become stereotypes that become acceptable to white people. And that's where we have a real serious issue, because these women don't want to take their power. Even though we respectable black men, we don't want our sisters out there like that. And a lot of us basically won't even get involved with women, because we don't want to have that woman being a reflection of us. We want our women to look, again, dignified and classy, just like us. We want our women to be a reflection of us. We want to look in the mirror at a woman who is just like us. That's what I put in one of my novels, The Temptation of John Haynes, where Esteem, basically she goes from being a demon to becoming a reflection of John Haynes, and a reflection that is shown where where John Haynes wears the black and green of the Pan-African flag, where she wears the red because John couldn't find a place to put the red. That's what I put in one of the images that I put of a variant cover for John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, and her symbolizing as related to holding the light. And again, holding the light because she is the one with the moral position and the one who's going to teach the culture. Again, I put all sorts of stuff in there like that. And again, like Phylicia said, many of us black men, not males, like Dondra G. Whitfield has talked about, there's a difference between a male and a man. A man does not want his woman out there looking like a stripper or a prostitute, because that says that this man is weak. It says that this man is basically has no respect for himself to be involved with a low value woman and a low vibrational woman. No man wants his woman out there like that, and no man wants to choose that type of woman to be his partner in life. That's what many black women don't understand, because sadly many black women who they want to continue maintaining their connection to feminists and be indoctrinated by feminism. This is what I go in depth on in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. They don't want to go out here and be a reflection of a black man because they want to be a part of white society. And that's why you have your black women out here wearing these revealing clothes, and even worse, again, looking to attack an elder who's going to try to provide you with wisdom and guidance. That's the whole sad part about this whole situation with Phylicia Rashad, is that many of these same folks will attack one of our elders who is, again, trying to provide you with wisdom, provide you with knowledge, again, of what it means to be a black woman. And sadly, many of our sisters don't dig deep into the history like I do when I'm writing books like Spellbound or the ISIS series, where I'm working on a book called ISIS Runway of Doom, which is talking about ISIS modeling for a black lingerie company. And it's all about talking about reconnecting us to our image and our history, and events that showed our history as related to fashion and showed our black pride as related to fashion. I mean, events like the Ebony Fashion Fair, which were, again, designed to present a positive image of black womanhood. Again, these are things that show you what it meant to be a black woman before the feminist movement came along, and again, had you trying to act like a black man. And sadly, many black women, they don't have that connection to their history, because many of their mothers wanted to abandon their culture to be like white women, and wanted to be like white women because they didn't like being black women, thinking being a black woman was second class. But to many black men out here, we see our women as first class, and we want to elevate our sisters like I do in many of my books. We want to elevate our sisters, and we don't want our women out there like that. We don't want our women out there looking all bad, because there's a way to be sexy with keeping your clothes on, because sexy isn't about having no clothes on. It's about having presence and personality, because there's a difference between a nude and a hypersexualized image and a sexy image. This is something that an artist like myself understands. Again, a nude is all about just the body being out there, and that's all done as related to art and lines. But this hypersexualized image is about creating a salacious image designed to stimulate lust, and again, is about taking away a person's humanity, whereas a nude is about showing the human body and showing the humanity of the body. And a sexy woman, again, can be sexy in regular clothes because she's got that presence, she's got that personality, she has that confidence to be herself. She has that confidence to be herself because she loves who she is and she wants to share herself with others. That's what Phylicia Rashad, they were talking about a picture of her when she was younger. Again, that was a picture of a lady. A lady can go out here and be a lady all by herself. I talked about this in another novel I wrote called The Thetas, where, again, being a lady is about you being comfortable with who you are. And again, ladies have class, ladies have style, and again, ladies are attractive because they are not afraid to be who they are and carry themselves with dignity and self-respect. They carry themselves with dignity and self-respect because they respect who they are. And that's what a man wants to have as his wife and his girlfriend. That's the woman he wants to go out here and date. And that's the woman that the man wants to be involved with. But sadly, many of our sisters, they get it all twisted because they want to be accepted by white society. They want to get the favor and approval of white men. And that's why they put on all these revealing clothes, because they want to be the image that the white supremacist wants to see. The white supremacist basically, again, created these images of black women to degrade black women. He created the Jezebel in order to be able to present the image of black women being sexually promiscuous. He presented the Sapphire to present the image of black women not having any sort of love and care compared to the white woman. And he created the Mammy to basically make it where being obese and and asexual was a way to take away a black woman's sexuality and take away her presence and take away her sexiness. All of this was basically done to the black woman and done to the black woman psychologically to her. And as Bill Cosby and Phylicia Rashad were trying to, again, build a positive image to black women, sadly they got undermined by Lisa Bonet, who didn't understand the history, because she was one of these biracial. She didn't understand the history that went on as related to degrading the black female image. That was the first crack in things, and that crack basically was further exploited by people like Luther Campbell. And again, it was said, but the whole thing is there's a history and a whole timeline to what happened here to the two black women as related to them wearing these revealing clothes. And we have to look at that history to understand what happened. And Phylicia Rashad, again, was on point with her commentary and on point as related to things, because she sees how bad things are, just like Bill Cosby saw how bad things are. Even though we had a black president, he saw how we had regressed as a people. This is why he made the pound cake speech, to speak out to black people. And Phylicia Rashad went out here and looked to speak out to black women because she sees how bad things have gotten. And sadly, as things have gotten bad, black people, again, still are in it spellbound. They're still so spellbound, still looking to fit themselves into black boxes that are acceptable to white people instead of taking control of their image, because they value white acceptance more than black pride. And that's what's the sad part about this generation. Even with the efforts of people like Bill Cosby, Phylicia Rashad, Suzanne DePass, and many others, they worked tirelessly behind the scenes to try to elevate the image of black people. But sadly, they value with white acceptance more than black pride or black empowerment. This is what I'm finding myself after over 20 years of working on the SJS Direct imprint. I mean, this is what I found as I've been writing positive stories about the black experience myself. A lot of black people, again, they are just so spellbound. They want to fit themselves into this black box as related to white people, that they don't want to have any sort of pride. And even though brothers say that they don't want their women out there like that, the women want to be out there like that. And that's this whole sad part about this whole situation. And those same women, again, will fight you tooth and nail to be like that out there because they want white acceptance. They want white acceptance more than black pride. And that's the whole sad part about Phylicia Rashad's statement and the reaction to it. People saying, oh, she's throwing shade. No, she's telling the truth, a truth that I have been trying to tell for years myself in books like The Thetas, books like All About Maryland, books like Spellbound, books like Eternal Night, books like the ISIS series. I mean, I have been working on these type of stories, again, saying, you know, we need to think about the images that we present of our sisters and think about presenting that, because this is going to be their model. But they would rather follow down the road that white supremacy wants to take them rather than take control of their own image the way that our great-grandmothers and grandmothers did. That's what our great-grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers did. They took control of their image because they understood that when it came down to the image of the black woman, we are the ones to define it. But sadly, that message hasn't resonated, and that's why we've got this lost generation of sisters running around and presenting themselves as the actual caricatures that white supremacy wanted to see of us. Now, if you want to see some more positive images and balanced images of black women, you can pick up many of my books that feature heroines such as The Thetas, which presents you a picture of older women trying to pass the history of black women and an actual black female culture on to a young pledge of their sorority. Or you can pick up books like Spellbound, which go in depth into the spellbound mindset that affects many of our young sisters and has them thinking being a ghetto hood rat is the norm for black women, and how to break out of that whole spellbound mindset, because Matilda breaks out of that spellbound mindset. Or you can pick up books in the ISIS series which show a goddess next door out here helping out sisters in the community, or the Esteem series, which presents you a sophisticated sister developing a relationship with God. Or you can check out my vampire novel, Eternal Night, which shows you what life in the 90s was like for black women. And you can also pick up my black business novel, A Recipe for Success. I have a lot of books that present you an actual picture and balanced picture of black womanhood and show you an actual picture of the black community under black with positive black women. And you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, taking stereotypes to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.